Si Mustafa, hello. I hope you're doing well. I should get this habit of calling you Dr. Mustafa because that's well deserved. So thank you for always being the first to show up. Natalie, hello. Natalie and Mustafa have not gone back on the long-standing support that they have shown to this channel. Si Zuhair Abid, ahlan wa sahlan. Please tell me hello. I hope everyone is doing well. No 99. Thank you very much. Oh, there are friends who are joining us. Thank you very much. Si Mohammed Dihi, thank you. Hello, Si Hisham. Hello. Nice to see you guys. Nice to see you here. It's a pleasure to reconnect with you again, but please let me know if I should switch the room, the light of the room, the bulb there of the room, or is it enough? Is it clear enough? Is the image clear enough? As well as the voice, I need your feedback, please. Okay, thank you, Si Muhammad. Thank you, Si Hisham. Thank you, everyone. It's really amazing to have friends like you here. Very supportive. It's clear. Everything is clear. Thank you very much. Well, there is also some from time to time. I have some live sessions on TikTok. Anyway, that's a platform that we should exploit for reasons of spreading knowledge, but it's not as serious as is YouTube. TikTok, there are on occasions live sessions where I talk about rules of English, and I might be asked questions about a grammar point or a lexical item, and then I have to say something about that. But well, just in case you need to, you feel the need, you have enough time, you have the nerve to join, because some of you are working on the research proposals, I know, and it's not an easy undertaking whatsoever. Thank you, Hisham. Thank you. Okay, Basma Sarani, hello, Basma. Nice to see you again here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Asma. Good evening, everyone. Maybe we can reach a certain number of friends and then start talking about the proposal. Again, this is the video 2 out of 5, but we may have more about that. So we can talk about also the interview and what is expected of you, what is not, etc. The do's and the don'ts. Okay, thank you for taking time to do this. You really don't know how much this means to us. So Allah yahfadhak, Allah yajzik bikhair. Say their comments. Thank you for this very nice feedback from you. Thank you. This only shows, so when you comment like this, it only shows that you are well brought up and that you issue from a generous family and from you have received you are reared in a culture of generosity. Generosity does not mean things that are concrete. Sometimes, not sometimes, on many occasions, الكلمة الطيبة صدقة. Yes or no? So you have to know this. Okay. ألم ترى كيف ضرب الله مثلا كلمة طيبة كشجرة طيبة أصلها ثابت وفرعها في السماء تؤتي أكلها كل حين بإذن ربها. You see, وضرب الله المثل للناس لعلهم يتذكرون. So you have this verse from the Quran that testifies to the to the importance and to the weight of a good word. So thank you very much. The people who are grateful are the ones who are generous, honestly. So that's the only thing I can is how the only word, the only expression I can use to characterize them. Thank you very much. Si Muntasir, hello. I may have missed some friends. غاد تسمحوا لي الله يخليكم if you have written something that I have not seen. I apologize. It's not my habit just to do that on purpose. I mean, to skip people on purpose. Sinafir, hello, my friend. Nice to see you with us here. Thank you very much. Sinafir is also someone who has shown good commitment to academia, and I'm sure he will end up, we will see him a doctor someday. I know, inshallah. Thank you very much. So 12 people are watching. Please, would you kindly hit the like button, all of you? I see that half of you, 50% of you have hit the like button and the other 50% not. So you are 15 here, but only 6 likes. I would love to see you liking this video more so that it can be shown to more people. Okay, so thank you very much. 7 likes. I'm not looking for likes for any other thing than having the video spread to people so that we can hear these nice words and this dua al-khair that many of you, Allah yarham walidin, is a very good, phrase that's worth tons of gold. Okay, thank you very much. So we have 17 friends here, but only 15 likes. We need two more. Who are the two lazy friends here who have not decided to hit the like button? What's the problem with you? Tell us. 16. We have one. One of you has not. So we need another like there. Now 18. We need two. Hey, lazy people, press the like button. Okay, so learn English. Happy to see you again. I wonder if you could kindly discuss the interview on the admin. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, we will come to that, Mr. or Mrs. Miss. Okay, learning English. So learn English. I'll talk about that for sure. Today, this live session, I think it's as important as was yesterday's session. Perhaps I am more comfortable today for the simple reason that yesterday you may have seen, the sweat, covering my entire face, but it was actually, because I came directly from some exercise and that coincided with the intensive heat, and so today I am much better. I feel much better, and therefore I don't think there is anything to do about the title now. I think we have made the point that the title is important. Equally important is what we are going to talk about now. So we are going serious, right? Say Rashid marhaba, Usada Samia marhaba. So we have Dr. Samia, Dr. Morshid. So it takes some time to get accustomed to these titles, to these nice young people. Okay, thank you. Dr. Buknifi is not with us here. Inshallah, everyone here, the ones who are not doctors yet, we will see them doctors, inshallah. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. So today we're going to talk about, as I said, what I believe is another important aspect of the proposal, another important component of the proposal. This has to do with the introduction. Now, if the title is the first element, if it's the first thing that can strike, or that can attract the potential supervisor, the introduction is the second element, because we need to understand you. Yes, there is an attractive title. Here it is. That's very good. It's nice. Now we want to see what your thinking looks like. So an introduction is more into it's one way of evaluating how your thought is organized. Are you organized? Are you not organized? You have to be very pedagogical in this section. Why? Because when you write a proposal, and by the way, also when you write a thesis, a proposal is actually a microcosmic representation of the whole thing of a thesis. Now, in the proposal, you have to be pedagogical. What do you mean by pedagogical? Now, just imagine you have a supervisor, or your potential supervisor is a specialist in the field that you purport to investigate. Okay? Do you have the right of assuming, أهلا نوال, مرحبا نوال, مرحبا. Do you have the right of assuming that the supervisor knows, because I know that it's his area of expertise, and therefore I should go headlong into the detail with the technicalities? My answer is no, that's not the way you should. That does not stand to reason. You have to be pedagogical, means that you have to introduce things from the easiest to the most complicated, from easy to difficult. It's like teaching. You have to be pedagogical, means, or andragogical, means that you start with things that are commonsensical, and then you complicate or you complexify, okay, as you move along in your introduction. Okay, so before I talk about the backbone, so to speak, of the research proposal, I would like to issue a couple of warnings, my dear friends. I need to issue a couple of warnings. One of them is not a warning, actually. It's just a reminder that a good proposal, an attractive proposal, is one that has a table of contents. Call it contents or table of contents, even if it's small, as long as there are sections. By the way, these are details. These are details. And the devil hides in the detail, as we say in Arabic. See, so don't forget page number in your proposal. Many proposals, in fact, you know, many of the ones I saw last year, for example, you see are proposals that have no page numbers, that have no table of contents, and that have titles that are really defective and misleading. So please put these aside. Okay, so uh, table of contents, page numbering, section numbering. I am saying these things in passing, just in passing. Okay, that's not the main topic of today, but that's in passing. You have to do that, of course, if you would like your proposal to be attractive. Now, there is an issue, a warning I would like to issue. There is a notice I would like to serve, and I apologize sincerely to some of our friends here, because I know there are friends who are following us here who have in mind what I am about to say. This has been human nature among doctor students for long. الله يجزيكم بخير. The ones who think that they will use ChatGPT to draft a good introduction, and they think they will get away with it. I am afraid this is not a good decision on your part. This will not lead you anywhere. Yeah, ChatGPT can do the job, yes, but they will stumble upon a problem later on. Why? Because you will be asked, so if you number one, there are professors who can easily detect ChatGPT language, and it happened last year in an interview for the recruitment of a university professor. One of my friends, I don't know if he's following, no, he does not use social media, but he made the point to the candidate that this is ChatGPT generated. And the lady said yes. She was a lady. The lady said yes, I made good use of ChatGPT, for her article. And I generated that title and those sections. In other words, now ChatGPT is no longer, it's no longer Solomon's ring to solve all problems relating to writing. Be careful. Apart from the softwares that are able to detect, ChatGPT based material, there are humans, there are professors who can easily say, well, this sentence, they can talk to you about a structural sentence as being ChatGPT generated, and there are people who would conduct some preliminary syntactic analysis to detect whether it's human or it's machine writing. So please be careful. هذه رقم واحد. Number two, my dear friends, just imagine that because you don't have time, or because some people think that they are smart enough, they believe that life is too short to spend, in reading the materials to include in the introduction. Just imagine you are successful and you're not caught, in the process. You will be called for, the interview, and in the interview they might ask you questions about that very introduction, and you will be hard put to answer their questions, and you will be put in a very tight spot. You see, so solution. The proposal is a very short document. Don't spoil it by including elements from the machine. Do it yourself. You may make a mistake here and there. People can ignore that, within the limits of what is tolerable. All right. So please bear this in mind. That's number one. Okay, now at number two. Number two, my friends. What is number two? Many proposals, including some I saw last year, where there is no single reference included in this first part. My friend, you are conducting research. One of the reasons, ladies and gentlemen, why I am critical of some very surface ideas for research is that they think it's easy, and because the topic is, there are some topics that can be discussed by the layman. There are some topics that are taken, that are suggested for research, that can be discussed by someone who has not been to university. like talking about the use of technology. I'm not critical of the use of technology ما تفهمونيش غلط على فكرة. But the way some doctoral students treat issues, they go to the easiest topics. And as I said, they wake up in the morning, there is a deadline for the proposal, and they go to the cafe and they start drafting. Believe me, I don't know if the candidate, last year's candidate, is with us here. I really don't know because she sent me a message wondering, wondering why her proposal was not accepted. And I happened to have a look at the proposal because I remember the name and the title. And to confirm this, I asked the person to send me a copy of that proposal. And that's a proposal where there is no single document mentioned, no single bracket open to mention the author's name and the date of the publication. Isn't that a shame? The doctorate is not something that's not a joke. It's not a joke. And you should not be put off. You should not be disappointed if your proposal is not accepted. You see? So please be careful. It doesn't take much. When I say be careful, I'm not, I'm not threatening, or I'm not saying that it's a monster. No. Just do what is generally done. You can't think of a proposal. You can't think of a piece of research, even at the BA level. Even a report, sometimes, you have an end of the term paper. You cannot submit it, my friend, without mentioning some references, let alone when it comes to the research proposal at the level of the doctorate. These are things that you really need to bear in mind, my dear friends. Thank you. Okay, so we have not been into, we have not cut to the heart of the topic. Please understand this. Please bear this in mind. Let me recapitulate. I talked about the importance of a table of contents. Table of contents necessary. Avoid using ChatGPT. That will not be smart of you, my dear friend. You will not get away with it. No, not at all. And number 3, document your ideas, not just in the introduction, all through the proposal. There is something else I want to say. My friends, I'm sorry I will dwell on the point. Bear with me, but it's in your interest. It's in the interest of our friends who will find these live sessions interesting. When I say document your ideas, there are some students, and I saw that unfortunately even in some doctoral theses. I repeat, I saw these things at the level of doctoral theses. See, Hisham, if I don't answer you after I make the point, if I forget, please paste that question again. Sorry, I just don't need to miss this thread. Okay. Look, I said there is a mistake I will be talking about is one that recurs. And I don't know, but it explains just the laziness of some people. I saw these things at the level of the doctoral, in a doctoral thesis, and in a number of thesis defenses, I made this point. What's this problem? The problem is this. Now, when you talk about code switching, for example, those who have done sociolinguistics here will directly say the sociolinguist who represents code switching is Gumpers. Can you write a piece of work on code switching without mentioning Gumpers? No. You see? Can you talk about sociolinguistic variation of linguistic items without talking about William Labov? You see, the observer's paradox. No, you can't. Can you talk about the language acquisition device without mentioning Chomsky? No, you can't. Can you talk about language maintenance and language shift without talking about Fishman and Einar Hogan and others? Can you talk about diglossia without mentioning Ferguson? Answer, no, you can't. And this being the case, This being the case, this is a message to the students. نقول لكم صراحة. In one of the theses, I saw someone talking about motivation, defining motivation and its types, you see, and they mentioned amros in the reference. This is a mistake. This is a serious mistake. Why? This student read a paper by Amrus somewhere, and they read, he or she read the in a section where there is a definition of motivational types of motivation, and he or she quoted me just like that. No, that's a mistake, my friend. It's not because it was mentioned in a thesis that you need to take that. No. Not that you are not a good researcher when you do that. No. You have to mention original authors who represent the field, authors who represent the area. Okay? That's one thing. The other thing is that I saw, I don't think it happened at the level of the master, but I saw many problems like these at the level of the doctorate as well. When they talk about, for example, there was a thesis where they mention a number of researchers who happen to be professors. Some professors are referred to as Nordin Amrous and so, but other professors are no. It was just last year, I guess. It was just Amrous plus date, and then there was another author of an article who happens to be a colleague. I will not mention the name, lest they should not like it anyway. So out of respect to them, and they mentioned they did what they did to Amrous, just the family name, and the third author who happens to be a colleague, but with some administrative tasks, and they talk about Mr. family name, first name. In a piece of research, my dear friends, even when you quote your supervisor, you see, your supervisor, or a supervisor, or a researcher who happens to be the Minister of Education. In a piece of research, you should not use Mr. or Mrs. or Ammu or Khalu. You see, be direct. You have family name. That's how academic life goes. It's Nordin Amrous. It's not Mr. or Ammi or Khal, even if I am your supervisor. So Amrous plus date or Nordin Amrous, no. It's Amrous plus date. It's family name plus date. Don't repeat this mistake, please, because this can be, even when you deliver a presentation, by the way, you will, those of you who will be admitted to the program will be involved in, will be invited to conferences. Never do that. Never say Mr. Never say Mr. Say just the family name. مشيعي بتقول le nom de famille d'un prof. واخا يكون le prof ديالك. So and so plus date. This has nothing to do with respect. Or the respect is when you, real respect is when you mention the family name and the date. Please be careful. You see. Very nice. أهلا سي سعيد رفيع. مرحبا سي سعيد. مرحبا سي دكتور بوكني في معنا هنايا. Thank you so much. بارك الله فيك. Okay, so I think we have brought this to a close. All right. Nice. I think I have exhausted the pieces of advice that I wanted to say before delving into the the main point here, which is the introduction. By the way, the introduction of a proposal may be called introduction, it can be called background, it can be called preliminaries. It all depends. It depends on your choice, but you may choose to call it introduction or background. Preliminaries, background. You can refer to it using one of these labels. Now, this background, should it be 10 pages long? No, because some proposals themselves may reach and may not reach 10 pages, depending on institutions, by the way. You definitely need to ask people at the institution you are applying for to tell you about the number of pages that is the minimal number of pages that is required. All right. And if there is a possible template, that would be so much the better. Okay. But for an introduction for a research proposal, it should not go beyond 1.5 pages, maybe 2 pages if you are too generous. It should not go beyond that. Okay. In your thesis, you may choose to write up to 5, 6 pages. Again, it's not an introduction of 15 pages. I'm so sorry. That's a mess. It's not an introduction. All right. So in this introduction, you will, as I said, you may call it background preliminaries introduction, which is the most neutral term. Here you have an opportunity to introduce the topic you are interested in. Introduce it. You may, of course, it's like writing an essay. The first paragraph always needs to be general and maybe something that the average reader will understand. You don't need to be a specialist to understand it. Preferably, don't get into details from paragraph 1. No, state set the scene. Talk about problems that are relating to education, challenges that face EFA learners, difficulties that are inherent in describing this or that phenomenon, etc. But do so in a non-technical, straightforward way. Okay, so the introduction is an opportunity for you to exercise this pedagogy that I talked to you about. And of course, here, after you set the scene in one paragraph, you provide, okay, in the next paragraphs, some backgrounds of the studies that or the issues that were treated before in relation to this topic, relevant background information. And this, when you provide relevant background information, my friends, you are marketing yourself there in a nice way, because there you show that you understand what you are talking about. The difference between someone who understands his topic or her topic, someone who does not understand the topic, is in this point here. If you are not able to sketch out some background for the topic you are investigating, it means that you don't really understand your topic, and that you are just that the person in question is just parasitic. Okay. غير بغا يدير الدكتوراه غير هكا, سي جوست بور لو بليزير, بور لو لوكس, سي با. ولكن these people, and there are, by the way, there are, and I was asked questions. I may reserve a whole session talking about these things. Okay. Now, when you start with good intentions at the beginning, at the level of the proposal, you work on it seriously, make sure that the remainder of the years, the 3 or 4 or 5 years you will spend on your thesis, will be moments of joy rather than a burden. Okay. Just be convinced of your proposal and do it the way it should be done, and you will see. Okay. Now, also in this introduction, you need to reserve a paragraph where you situate your study within the broader context. For example, you can mention the studies and the issues that the populations on whom the studies were conducted internationally, maybe the main findings on which the whole host of researchers agree on, and from there you will point to the research gap. For example, you will say, these researchers have treated these issues, but there are some residual issues that have remained untreated, and it's an opportunity for you to embark on them. If you think that you will treat the same issues as the others, then one thing you can do is to decide to apply that to the Moroccan context, for example, and see whether you will reach the same results, okay, or not. Okay, nice. So situating the context is one of the advantages of writing this background this background section. Don't forget, and this is something that I have to underline, don't forget, as you do this, to mention the main authors. Your strong point is to mention the main authors. Studies on motivation you can't do without, without Dornier, you cannot do without Lambert, you cannot be without Gardner. You see, you have not Ambrose and someone who has, just published an article just like that, an article that is published in a journal which is not renowned, etc. No, no, don't do that, my friends. We don't do things like that. You see, you may quote Ambrose, for example, for a finding in the Moroccan context. Yes, but Ambrose defining motivation, no, that's too much for Ambrose and for anyone who purports to, who claims that he or she has. No, no, because Ambrose himself has taken that definition from other people. You see, I'm using my name because I saw that these are things that recur. And usually different students cite their supervisors. I don't know. Is it out of sheer fear? Is it out of respect? Yes, let's think, let's have good intentions, the benefit of the doubt. But this should not be taking place. You can mention your supervisor if you find your supervisor so dear to you that you cannot do without mentioning him or her, then mention him or her on the things that he or she has contributed with, his or her contributions, not not other people's work via him, no, or her. Okay, Asma Narjis, thank you. Nawal, thank you. Okay, there is that fear of the choice of an interesting topic that you will be working on for years. Could you please talk about this? Well, Nawal and Si Hisham and Nawal, would you kindly paste these comments after I am done? Because I will reserve a space for more questions. Okay, so let me just bring these points into focus and discuss them somehow, and then come back to these questions. So I will leave, room for the frequently foire aux questions, as they say. Okay, frequently asked questions. Thank you, Noel. Thank you, Hisham. Thank you, everyone who has asked the question here. Okay, so highlighting the key studies is very interesting as well. Nice. Problem statement is another thing that you need to bear in mind. Problem statement. C'est quoi problem statement? Problem statement simply means, so it means you're talking about what happens. What happened on Earth that has led you to conduct research. Okay, it could be, if it's applied linguistics and language education, it could relate to problems relating to reading. It could be related to the fact that over the last decades, with the advancement of technology, there is an apparent observation that people shun reading, they avoid reading, they prefer, they become more audible than visual, than readers. They are visual, yes, but reading is a daunting task, is difficult. You can do things like these. You can talk about, state your problem by describing a naturally occurring situation, a real problem on which, you will so it's like a scaffold. You will stand on it to build the line of argument. So statement of the problem is very interesting. So you state the problem, you point to what has been done before, and you point to the gap. The whole thing is statement of the problem, actually. So it's not just in one sentence, okay? And by the way, you can also talk about the reasons why it's important, because if a piece of research does not have any importance, it's not worth undertaking. That's why I definitely insist, when I talk about these things, I insist on my students to include a section called rationale. I'm well in rational. Rationale, it should have E at the end. And it's pronounced rationale. It means justification. Okay? La justification, it's rationale. Okay? So you need a rationale. And thank you, Mustafa. You have written it the correct way. Thank you, Dr. Mustafa. So a rationale is where we say why this is interesting. Why this is interesting. Okay, why is it worth undertaking? And we have different why. It can be, this why can be a personal interest. It's part of why. maybe because you like the subject, you are curious to know more about it. That's an opportunity for you to explore it. Number two, maybe you want to broaden your knowledge apart from being interested. We can broaden because you have started maybe at the level of the master's working on an area, and you want to expand it in the doctorate. And by the way, this master, that's a tick. It's a tick. It's a tip. I'm sorry. It's a tip. Okay, you can exploit this master in different ways. For example, if you have a topic that is different from your masters, you can say, well, I explored syntax in the masters. Now I would like to explore phonology. It's شوية تحير ولكن it's healthy. It's very good. Okay, nice. So yes, I did new 99 me. Yeah, I did. I do that on many occasions. So the key point there is to say to say the problem, and later on from the problem you can derive objectives, and then you will say why. And this why can be personal, it can be academic, because you want to learn about other issues, when it comes to the investigative theme. And you can also talk about the relevant literature if it's not well researched, if it's under researched in Morocco, for example. You can use that as a rationale to to justify the choice of your topic. Okay, so this is the problem. This is the statement of the problem. Of course, from this statement of problem, you can derive research questions. Research questions 2, 3. You don't need to write 11 or 12, because you think that some students think that by increasing the number of questions and by increasing the number of objectives, their proposal stands more chances. No, that does not work like that. You can ask 2, 3, 4 questions maximum, and maybe later on you can modify it in agreement with the supervisor. Okay, so you definitely need research questions. Try to avoid. So let me say something about these research questions. Number one, research questions have to be related somehow. Okay, maybe each question represents a variable. Okay, if you have, for example, speaking skills, a teaching method, a speaking teaching method, you can have in question one gender. You can have another question, maybe exposure to English on social media platforms. Maybe you can have other, each question can represent an extra or a different variable. Of course, these variables, these research questions, by the way, research questions are characterized by a level of what? They are يلا شكون يكتب لي هنايا the noun that comes from broad. Anyway, let me say it. They are characterized by some breadth. Okay, they are broad, they have enough breadth. A research question may be translated, one research question may easily be, thank you, Simsafa, yeah, that's true, may be translated into 2 or 3 hypotheses. Why? It's because generally the research question is broader, in scope than a hypothesis is very specific. And when I hear some pieces of advice that you have to have the same number of research questions as you have hypotheses, no, that's not a good piece of advice at all, because it's or you may have you have more research questions than hypotheses. What does that mean? No, okay, unless you have qualitative hypotheses. In that case, you may or qualitative research questions. But anyway, generally you have more hypotheses than research questions, equal. Okay, nice. So your variables must be measurable, of course. You have to think about this practicality, measurability as you do all these things. We can talk about that later on. We may have 1 hypothesis and 3 or 4 research questions. I'm afraid not, Si Mohammed. That's less logical than having 4 hypotheses and 1 research question. Why? Because the research question is characterized by breadth. Can I say something about this? Let me give you a concrete example, but not until I drink my lemon and water. Just imagine you have a question like a research question like to what extent something, I don't know, to what extent will translanguaging improve students' writing performance? When I say to what extent, عرفتي شحال جمعت هنا دي possibility ولا لا؟ To what extent it may have different answers, different subcomponents. You got that or no? So inside this, you can have different hypotheses. It's the research question that should cloak the hypothesis, not vice versa. All right? So it's one research question for three hypotheses more logical than one hypothesis for research questions. علاش؟ لأن شكون كيسبق؟ Which comes first? It's the research question. علاش the research question? It's because you, as an author, as a researcher, you notice that there is a problem on Earth, and that you have read about it, and I said, yeah, this is something I will investigate. إلا درت هذه, to what extent will this... عاد كنجيو لي زيبوتيز. You understand? For example, what is the role of academic level in the acquisition of diphthongs among Moroccan EFL learners? What is the role of academic level? One research question. Look at how many hypotheses you can have. S1 students or the first year students perform better second year students. هذه hypothesis. Second year students will perform better than third year students. And then you have undergraduate students and S6 students will be equal. That's another hypothesis. Or there is no statistically significant difference between the performance of, you see, master students, doctoral students when it comes to the acquisition of this or of that item, of diphthongs, for example, in English. So you have to be careful when it comes to, yeah, these are potential answers. All right. So research question, rationale, etc. I think we talked about these things enough. Suffice it to make the point that after you have done this, you know that in a piece of research, in a piece of research, there is a framework, there is a theoretical framework that you need to follow. Okay. أهلا سي محمد ونعيم أهلا. So one thing you need to do at the level of the introduction is to provide a paragraph where you directly and briefly and succinctly summarize the framework you are espousing, the framework you are adopting. You see, for example, if it's about the acquisition of vowel something, and you opt for an optimality theory framework, you need to say something about optimality theory and the constrained emotion algorithm, etc. So Mustafa or Dr. Mustafa has defended the thesis on world Englishes, and this is the first time some people hear of world Englishes, not read about or read a thesis about world Englishes. So it's a good idea to mention in a proposal what you mean by world Englishes and give examples, etc., so that the potential supervisor will be attracted to you, to your proposal. That's how you show that you are convincing, and that's how you encourage people to to supervise you. You need to market your work, in other words. So summarizing the theoretical framework is an outstanding idea. Okay, and I forgot something before even this. So we talked about statement of the problem. We talked about statement of the objectives. Sorry, let me say that again, please. After you have stated your problem, you describe what happened in the world, you talk about what was written before, and you identify the gap. Then you can move to your objectives, the aim of this thesis or the aim of this study. Avoid thesis because it's not a thesis, it's a study. In the proposal, we describe a study. The aim of this study is to, and you mentioned 3 or 4 objectives. This way you are credible. Mentioning 24 objectives or a 1-page long objectives, no. Again, I'm saying these things out of experience because I noticed a lot of research proposals with too many objectives because people are overambitious at the beginning. No, just three, four, five. Five is the max that you can handle in a piece of work. Otherwise, it will fall into problems relating to incoherence. Okay, so you need the research questions. You need hypotheses, of course. Needless to say, something about so I think we talked about these things. Unless you have specific questions about objective research questions and hypotheses. Now, for research questions, avoid yes/no questions. They are to be avoided. Use to what extent, use how, in what way, you see. But yes no questions, perhaps that's not really a good question, a good question form to ask. You see, a question type, it's a type of research question. For hypotheses, ladies and gentlemen, if they are qualitative hypotheses, that's something else. But if they are quantitative, if your study is quantitative, that is to say, you think you will collect data and analyze it and score it and get it into SPSS and generate results. Of course, this is a quantitative approach. The hypotheses need to be stated ahead of time, and they need to take the form of direct sentences that take the form of a guess. For example, you say males will outperform females on this course. You see, on this area of English, will perform. It's like you are assuming, but write a direct sentence that is not a compound, not a complex sentence. Okay. If it's a qualitative hypothesis, then that's a different issue. In qualitative studies, in a qualitative study, you don't mention your hypotheses, you don't state your hypotheses the way you state them in a quantitative study. You may just write a paragraph, maybe hypothesizing about the influence of variable X or variable Y, but you don't write it in a sentence that is direct. You see, and by the way, in many qualitative pieces of research, the hypothesis emerges at the end. Okay, so bear this in mind. Nuni Nunus, hello. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us. Okay, I before let me show for Shanish. So that's very interesting. So this is at the level of the introduction. Later on, maybe tomorrow, we can talk about the review of the literature and what should be done. I say many elements that relate to tomorrow's topic, which is the review of literature in a proposal. But this is it, and you see that this is for an ideal introduction, for an ideal proposal. Keep it short, keep it direct, keep it clear. Keep it to the point. Call a spade a spade. There is no, once you complicate with on the assumption that complicating will impress the jury, that's false. That's not a good idea at all. Okay, complicating does not impress anyone. You see, complicating will make people escape you. And I would like to repeat something I said before. Use your own language, use correct English, try to avoid mistakes. It's a good idea to hand your proposal to someone who you think can read it for you and try to correct, to point to some of the mistakes that you may not be aware of because you are under a lot of stress. I know what it means to write a proposal under pressure. So, have someone read your work. I like the idea that in my master's classes, there are small groups of people who respect each other, students who like each other, who love each other actually, and that's real group work. I noticed, very good collaboration. So these students now they are, I think, at the stage where they apply for doctorate. It's a good idea to exchange proposals for more feedback. Okay, so having said this, time is ripe for frequently asked questions. So now paste your questions, ladies and gentlemen. Most of our life is already complicated. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, which tense is yeah, Muhammad, they are asking a very good question. Which tense is advisable to use when writing a hypothesis, a research hypothesis? In quantitative hypotheses, it's the future tense. S2 students will outperform. Why will? Will because there is an experiment that is coming in the next few months, and then on the basis of that you will generate your conclusions. So if it's quantitative, then the future, simple future, is the relevant tense. Okay, and maybe when you hypothesize qualitatively, especially that the hypothesis I said emerges at the end, you may use models like may well, might, it could be that, etc. Or the psycholinguistic analysis or the psychoanalysis makes balance tip in favor of this interpretation rather than this one here. Okay, but for quantitative hypotheses, it's the will there. Okay, thank you. That's a good question. Now let me read other friends' questions, please. Do we have to use both? No, no, Natalie. No, Natalie. No, no. Now you are not supposed to use both qualitative and quantitative. This has been a tradition among some students. They like this phrase mixed method. It's not. Although on many occasions the mixed method is a misnomer, but this will depend on your purposes. There are some hypotheses that are conducive to a statistical analysis in the way you phrase them, for example. But there are other hypotheses that require, for example, an interview. For example, when you have teachers' perceptions and you want to use quantitative analysis, how likely is it for you to come up with responses of 200 teachers, professors, for example? So you switch to the interview, okay? And the interview is very qualitative. So you may have two hypotheses, three hypotheses are quantitative that you complement with a qualitative hypothesis. In a proposal, in a doctoral thesis, in a given thesis, you may have all your research questions, you see, qualitative. It's, the design is purely qualitative. As you may have all your research questions quantitative, where you all, in every single instance, you make recourse, you have recourse to statistical analysis. Natalie, okay. Hisham, now, yeah, that's, I asked Hisham to type his question. Can we use elements or parts from our master's thesis in research proposal if we intend to continue working? That's a great idea, Hisham. This is an excellent idea and it will market your proposal very well. Why? It's in your case, Hisham, for example, when you mention, for example, Darfur 2025, and you mentioned that, you, for example, you investigated this and this variable, but you did not, but you need, now you would like to extend on this and have more variables. That's a great idea, of course. That's a great idea. By the way, I did it in my work. That's how you show that you are a specialist. Okay, so it's a very good opportunity. Yes, mention yourself there and show. This way you will show great awareness. You will show that you are aware of what's happening. So you say, this is what was investigated in Darfur 25, and these residual problems will be taken up, and so you extend the topic. That's a very good idea, Hisham. So I hope I have answered your question. Thank you, Si Mohammed Dihi. Marhaba. Nawal, there is that fear of the choice of an interesting topic that you will be working on for years. Could you please talk about this, and how we can deal with this? All right, okay. Nice, Nawal. Okay, let me say something about this, about a topic which is interesting or not interesting. The criterion that jury members will use to evaluate your topic. Yes, of course, it should be interesting, but anything that can be analyzed scientifically can be interesting. Maybe if there is something that treats a an educational issue, it's relevant. Why? It's because the whole so over the years there have been problems relating to education. There have been a number of reforms, and yeah, the topic is necessarily interesting, okay. But if you choose another topic, people will judge you more, Nawal, and the rest. You will be judged more on whether you will conduct that piece of research in a scientific way or not. Is the topic researchable or not? Topics like I saw something, not this, but something close to this. I'm just exaggerating it a little bit. Now, if just imagine you have a topic like females with an iPhone will perform better. You okay, in this thesis I will investigate the behavior of females with an iPhone versus the behavior and the females with other types of phones. Can this lead to a scientific study? Yes, because you will collect your data, analyze it, and but is it interesting? No, I'm afraid it's not really interesting. That's, you see. هذا الجانب ما كان في l'éducation شي حاجه une question اللي هي عندها لو بوا ديالها, it's interesting, but you will not be judged so much on the topic you have chosen as you will on the modus operandi, that is to say, the method, the steps you follow, the research process. Once you show that you are aware of the issue to investigate, once you show that you have some knowledge of the relevant literature, once you show that you have a good rationale, it means that it's very interesting. So don't worry about that, especially if you can continue with the topic, because Nawal is someone I know. I supervised her work at the master's level. And I know Hisham as well. He happened to be his examiner, and they are both excellent students. So yeah, if you continue on the same topic or something close to it, it's interesting, necessarily so. Okay, yeah, it's scientific rigor. شوف بين للجوري باللي عندك واحد الدرايه بالموضوع، حيت كاين اللي كيعطي بروبوزل وما عنده درايه لا والو، كاين اللي كيكتب لك اي in education وبقى كيدخل ويخرج في الهضره تما، هذا نو. ولكن if you have a topic that is researchable and that has been researched in some part of the world, and you would like to try other variables in your country, then that's a very good thing. You see, so to conclude, Nawal, you are more likely, as I said, to be judged on the research process and your understanding of the issue rather than anything else. So just be at ease or feel at ease when it comes to this. Talking about this in the personal motivation section. I don't know, you Mustafa, I think you are answering something I said before. Anyway, so let's move to Asma. In my study, if my study includes both students and teachers, can I use two different research designs? For example, quasi-experimental first design. Yes, it depends. Basma, you can have that thing that you say there, but you can also have, as I said before, a quasi-experimental for students, and you can complement it with interviews for teachers. Here, there is no problem because not all your hypotheses need to go in one direction. For example, it's not the case that in a thesis, all our hypotheses have to be qualitative or all our hypotheses have to be quantitative. It's not like on-off, okay? You may. So in this case, if you have teachers and students, then you can analyze because one of the reasons is that you may have access to a large number of students, but you may not have access to a large number of teachers, especially at higher education. We know these things. Okay. especially if the questionnaire is detailed. Not many are willing to take part in answering, or you cannot perform an experiment on professors. Okay, depending on how I approach my variables, or should I intercept? No, Basma, no. You are not supposed to. That's a question that was asked by Natalie as well. No, you are not supposed to follow one single statistical or one single research design. You may resort to, as I say, to a mixed method design. You may have a design which is predominantly quantitative, but you supplement it, to have another perspective to feed your results. You can opt for an interview or a focus group or document analysis or anything. Okay, Basma. مرحبا نوال مرحبا. Rashid, see Rashid, أهلا وسهلا. If possible, we need a session on how to write a suitable title, a title that considers the study's variables. Thank you very much. There was, Sir Rashid, yesterday's video where I talked about the importance of the title. I don't know if you had occasion to watch it. Otherwise, if you want examples, then I can provide you. We can have a session for examples, or I can have them in the short slides. I will take this seriously. Thank you very much. Thank you. Sir Rashid, أهلا أستاذ اعتماد. How are you, اعتماد? اعتماد is in the States. I am giving away a secret, I guess. Okay, so I wish you all the best, اعتماد. She is defending very soon, inshallah. Business Daily English. Good luck, everyone. Thank you, Business Daily English. And we have Dr. Khadija Biddan with us. Many thanks, dear professor, for the insightful explanation. Marhaba Khadija, thank you. It's a pleasure to have young doctors here with me. It's really amazing. Okay. I happen to be in Khadija's defense, and her performance was just outstanding. The way she expresses herself in formal English, the way she articulates, and the way she went about defending her points. So it was just amazing. Thank you. Okay, Basma. Sinafi, while you were talking about the introduction of research proposal today, I felt like it fits nicely for applied linguistics research, but I don't think it's suitable for theoretical linguistics. Thank you, Nafia. That's a very good point. And it's true, there has been some little bias because many of the friends here are in the field of applied linguistics. But let me expand this. Let me talk about the points of difference. Now, if you are in theoretical linguistics, of course, do you need a title? Yes, you do. Do you need this introduction? Yes, you do. Do you need table of contents? Yes, you do. So should you avoid ChatGPT? Yes, you should. Do you need to document? Yes, you should. So these are commonalities. Statement of the problem, yes, it's a commonality as well. Perhaps for Nafia, Mr. Nafia, the point of difference is just the statement of the hypothesis. Safi. The statement of the hypothesis, that's all. Statement of the hypothesis, because theoretical linguistics, for example, if you are exploring the diminutive in Moroccan Arabic, an optimality theoretic account, or you can talk about the constraint-based interaction, a constraint-based analysis for the construct state in interivit. You see, here you need to talk about, to identify the research gaps by pointing to what has been said, to what was said before, and your intended contribution. But when it comes to the research questions, yes, you can ask research questions. Maybe fewer, but you need research questions anyway. You need objectives too. But for hypotheses, no. For hypotheses, they may emerge at the end. Okay, a hypothesis like, for example, a better account for the construct state interivit requires syntactic information as it requires more phonological information. Things like these. I'm just giving you this example. But the point is that, so the divergence here is in the presence of explicit direct hypotheses that involve will and the absence thereof. Okay? That's other things being equal. Okay, nice. LKM, thank you. Rashid Bandara, all right, inshallah. I wish you all the best. Learn English. Is it feasible to conduct an experimental study for an MA thesis in the given time? Yes, yes. You can do that without any problems, but just don't leave things until the end. And this is also a message for the doctoral students here who have experimental designs. Don't go sequentially until you finish the review of the literature, and then you have a holiday, and then you start. And by the time you come, the students will have left. You see, so strike while the iron is hot. You see, don't wait until June or end of May to collect data. Don't wait until the and December until December to collect your data. You have to be very strategic when it comes to these things in order for you to gain more time. Now, for the experiment, you really, really need to think about it seriously. Yes, you can have that at the level of the master as well, but you need to be able to choose, to do it as early as possible, because master, is conducted in 1 year maximum. Okay, thank you. Do we have other questions from friends? Or shall we call it a day? By the way, I am also involved in informal discussions. It's very informal on TikTok. It's mostly, I use multiple languages there. I use my mother tongue. I use Moroccan Arabic, Standard Arabic, some French where I can express myself, some English. You see, so, well, if you are interested, you can join us there. Okay, nice. I hope I have been able to shed some light on this first part of the research proposal. In the absence of more questions, then we can call it a day, and I will make an announcement for another session tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you, and I wish you all the best, ladies and gentlemen. Barakallahu feek. Thank you, and bye-bye, everyone.